In collaboration with the current events instructor, we worked specifically with those students who are going out into the workforce, to college, or starting families in the next year or so. As an initial activity, approximately 80 members of the 2010 graduating class responded to the writing prompt, "The current recession we're in is the greatest economic downturn since the Great Depression. Describe what the recession means to you." You could include the impact the recession has had on you and/or your family. The responses ranged in length from a couple of paragraphs to full-page essays, and all of them revealed information that could be categorized into 3 areas: the student's definition of what a recession means, how the current situation has impacted them and/or their family, and the emotions that the students expressed. With this information, and after one-on-one conversations with many of these students, we'll be focusing on the top 6 areas that they indicated were of most concern in their lives today. These topics are careers, college or other education, relationships, personal finances, the economy, and being able to focus on what's most important in their own lives. The students also worked in small groups to interview family members and community residents in 3 age ranges: 25 to 44, 45 to 64, and over 65. The interviews were captured through video and audio or with notes. Students asked the same question that they had answered, and then asked if the interviewees had ever been through economic times like this before, and what advice they would offer to young adults so they could be prepared for whatever lies ahead economically. All of this information is being used to guide purchases of materials in all formats, topics for displays, handouts, bibliographies, and developing relevant collaborative instructional units between the library and the classroom. These responses provided the basis for a model summer reading program project which can be replicated in other libraries. The 6 titles in the program, read together, will provide the opportunity for a focused journey of self-reflection for teens who have suddenly found themselves at important crossroads in their lives with big decisions to make. Using the same information at CAM, we are allocating a significant portion of this year's materials budget to these same topics, selecting quality online resources to be tagged and displayed in our Delicious Cloud on the library's webpage, as well as training and encouraging students to use our flip cameras, microphones, and Web 2.0 technologies to find creative outlets for their ideas and emotions. We now have over 20 bloggers just in one media class writing on topics that they are passionate about. I developed a flip camera basics workshop which I present both to students and to adults in the community, and have been able to present that also at our Rolling Prairie Library System summer camp for school librarians. One of the evaluations from a librarian said how easy it was when they had instruction, and she felt like she could do this now. So that was one way to share what we have learned through this project.
I provided ongoing communication with the Rural Partners State Board, which resulted in our iAdapt team being invited to make a presentation to the State Board in Springfield on September 8, 2010. The direct benefit from this group presentation is that we have been offered seed money for each of our libraries to continue the work that we began during this grant in our communities. The iAdapt team is also invited to make a presentation at the 2011 Illinois Rural Economic Development Conference in Peoria in March of 2011.
How could this become so real? when others say, no way. The dreamers cannot be put down. We're here to stay. The spirit of vision, together you and me, we turn vision to reality with results, fulfillment, and joy. Results, fulfillment, and joy. Good work, it is a blessing.
Hello? All right. So this is our WordPress site. We experimented with Ning, and we looked at Plinkett, but ultimately we settled on WordPress. I'll give you a tour of the site, or maybe one of my colleagues could drive for me. Across the top, we have just a link to iLeadU, which describes the program. We've got a link to the iAdapt team. If you follow that link, it just gives you information about each of us, and there's an image. This celebrates Beck Tench's visiting us and teaching us about becoming agents of change. There's a link to her. Could you follow that one? It's just a link to her SlideShare presentation and her website. And then Eureka put together this Best Jobs Search Books list. Okay. On the left-hand side column, we've got our community hubs links. I'd like to come back to those. Let's each link is to our individual websites or WordPress pages. We put together a survey which was emphasized in the presentation, and then we've got. Yeah, you're all invited to take it. We've got video that local entrepreneurs shot, which celebrates their businesses. The top two came from Towanda, and these are local business people talking about their businesses. And then we have our video from the first iLeadU meetings. Next, we put together a group of delicious business resources that are for small business users. And then local history material, we wanted to draw that attention to that, trying to be repositories of local information, celebrating local history, genealogy. And then we have a widget that shows recent comments. We've got some traffic on the site already. We're pulling in some RSS feed, so we've got new information from the Idea Cafe. Bruce suggested adding that, and you can subscribe to our site. We've got stats there, and we can block spam. And we blocked one. All right.
Just the one.
If we go back to the top, if we follow the Farmington Hub link, one thing we found is we came up with commonalities between us, but I think each of us knows our communities best and what they need, what they can use, what they're missing. I'm very conscious now of the blogging content, trying to keep it more positive so that we can build an audience, and then in the future maybe addressing those tough questions where we'll get loads of negative feedback about. This was a lot of fun for me. I met with Chamber of Commerce, and they had paid for and produced this Discover Farmington video that I believe they were handing out to people who had already purchased homes in Farmington. Well, that's kind of a done deal. So they were excited to have a home for it so that people who are interested in our area could go to and learn more about Farmington. There was a need for a business directory, so we put that together. No, you don't have to. The blogging content, we've got Future of Farmington survey. We just had a representative from the Partnership for the Economic Development come in, and so we were able to not only collect the survey information, but promote it on our website and on our WordPress site. So you can see we've got a Flickr widget showing off Discover Farmington Day. And at the very bottom of this page, there's we've partnered with the Historical Society and Museum, and they're collecting materials for that. So we're able to help them out and promote that as well. And then lastly, tell us what you like about Farmington. And I expect that's a place where we'll get some negative feedback. But
one of the things we struggled with, if we're going to talk about obstacles a little bit, is how far apart we were. We were over 3.5 hours to meet. So we tried to meet at least every other month in person, and then we tried to meet online in between those, and then we did email like most of you did in between as well. But one of the things that happens when you're doing this is you all have your bits and pieces, and sometimes they don't all come together. So when we had the pictures of Eureka up, we did drop some of the video that went with that. I mean, the audio that went with that. So I wanted to talk, Nancy and I are going to tell you just a little bit about what was happening in Eureka during that time. And what like Shane said, his centered a lot on the business and the business directory. Ours worked a lot with the small business owners in town and what we could do. And it was actually twofold. We worked with the small business owners. We also worked with the Workforce Network, which is housed in our library, and Nancy will tell you more about that. But one of the really unique opportunities that came to us was early on when we had an entrepreneur walk into our library and talk with us about a problem she had noticed in Eureka, and that was that we didn't have a Monday lunch place other than Hardee's. And she happened to be a cook, and she said, I'm thinking that as a library, you probably need a little extra funding. I need a place to have a lunch stand, and this town needs a place to serve lunches. So we talked with her a little bit more. She had already gone through the health department, had everything approved. So she set up her grills on the corner of the library lawn and her canopy, and she served lunches on Mondays, paid the library for the opportunity to be there on our spot, built a really good following, and worked with us for 5 months, May through September, on the lawn that way. And she's already said she can't wait to come back. So we felt good. It was a strong relationship. It helped us. It brought people to us, brought people into the library that weren't used to coming to the library, and it filled a need in our community. So that was one of the things we feel like that came back out of this particular situation to us. Plus, the publicity we received from that alone was huge. As a local